Welcome to the Data Man Podcast, where we decode the data-driven world. I'm Simon.
And I'm Richard. Today's episode is all about a question we hear constantly. Is web scraping legal? But we're also going deeper, talking ethics, defenses, and real-world scraping that's transforming industries most people don't even associate with data.
Scraping might sound like something for hackers or devs in dark rooms, but in reality, it's a massive engine behind market research, product intelligence, financial modeling, and it's evolving fast.
Absolutely. And as scraping becomes more sophisticated, the rules, risks, and opportunities evolve too. So in this extended episode, we'll explore the legal gray zones, the ethical high ground, how websites fight back, and the next frontier of responsible scraping.
Let's start with the most loaded question. Is web scraping legal?
There's no one-size-fits-all answer. At its core, scraping public data that isn't behind a login and that doesn't violate copyright or access restrictions is typically allowed. But the devil is in the details.
Take the HiQ Labs versus LinkedIn case. LinkedIn tried to block HiQ from scraping public profiles, but courts ruled that public data doesn't become private just because a platform doesn't want it scraped.
But the opposite happened in Craigslist versus 3Taps. Craigslist had cease and desist letters in place. 3Taps ignored them and scraped anyway. Courts said that crossed into unauthorized access.
So what makes one case legal and the other illegal? Often it's about consent, behavior, and what a site explicitly prohibits in its terms of service.
Also important, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, CFAA. If your scraper bypasses technical blocks or accesses data in a way that resembles hacking, that can trigger serious legal consequences.
Then there's copyright. You can't scrape full articles and reuse them commercially. That's reproduction, not research.
And internationally, things get even trickier. In the EU, scraping can fall under GDPR if you're collecting anything that could be considered personal data. Even indirect identifiers might qualify.
Same goes for Canada, Brazil, and parts of Southeast Asia. Data protection laws vary, and what's okay in one country might be illegal elsewhere. Bottom line, scraping is legal when done thoughtfully, but legality doesn't mean immunity. If you're in doubt or working at scale, get legal advice.
Now let's get into the ethics, something legal teams don't always cover.
Right? Just because you can scrape doesn't mean you should. Ethical scraping starts with asking, what's the impact? For example, scraping job postings. Great for market insight, but if you're capturing email addresses or recruiter names and storing them without permission, you've crossed a line.
Same with scraping e-commerce listings. Taking product names and prices is fine, but downloading 10,000 high-res images and republishing them? That's theft, not research. A solid ethical principle is data minimization. Take only what you need, no more, no less. Don't hoard or harvest unnecessary personal details.
And let's talk frequency. Polite scraping means you don't hit a site 50 times a second. You mimic real user behavior, maybe one page every few seconds with proper backoff.
Then there's attribution. If you're building an app or dashboard using scraped data, give credit. Transparency builds trust and shows you're not misrepresenting the data source.
There's also user expectation. If a platform presents data to humans, it's different than providing it to bots. If you blur that line, be upfront or risk trust erosion.
And if you're collecting sensitive or time-sensitive data, like real estate listings or product inventory, you owe it to users to keep that data fresh. Outdated scraping isn't just lazy, it's misleading.
Ethics aren't just about legality. They're about reputation, reliability, and doing right by the data ecosystem.
Okay, let's flip the perspective. What do websites do when they don't want to be scraped?
They build walls. And the first one is usually basic: IP blocking. If a site sees too many hits from one IP, you get throttled or blocked. Then come the user agent filters. If your scraper says it's Python/3.9, you're done. Sites look for realistic headers and browser signatures.
CAPTCHAs are next. Not just click the image types, but advanced tools like reCAPTCHA v3 that detect bot-like behavior in the background. Some sites even use honeypots, invisible links or buttons that only bots will click. If your scraper triggers one, you're flagged immediately.
We're also seeing session fingerprinting. Sites track scroll behavior, click patterns, even hardware signals like screen resolution or installed fonts. Then there's JavaScript rendering. More sites are hiding content behind scripts. Unless your scraper uses a headless browser, like Puppeteer or Playwright, you won't see it.
To stay ahead, scrapers have adapted. They rotate proxies, simulate real browsers, and even use machine learning to mimic human behavior patterns. But here's the truth. Most sites don't mind scraping if it's done respectfully. Many even offer APIs, either public or premium, because they know developers will come knocking either way. The problem isn't scraping, it's bad scraping. When scrapers overload servers, steal content, or ignore ethical lines, that's when walls go up.
Now, let's get to the good stuff. What people actually do with scraped data. And it's not just price comparison. Let's start with license verification. Companies in healthcare, construction, and education scrape state databases to verify whether professionals have active licenses or certifications. It's faster, more scalable, and less error-prone than manual checks. We've seen platforms validate thousands of records per hour, something that would take a team days.
Next, court docket scraping. Law firms and legal tech platforms scrape court portals to monitor case activity, hearing schedules, and judge decisions. Some even use it for competitive intelligence, tracking opposing counsel or monitoring litigation trends by industry. That's gold for firms in class action, IP, or finance.
Another one, real estate analytics. Scraping property listings lets firms track price movement, availability, zoning changes, and market velocity across regions. It's not just listings. Public records, tax maps, and permit databases, all scraped and synthesized into dashboards that investors and developers rely on. And of course, retail and e-commerce. Scrapers track SKUs, prices, product descriptions, availability, and reviews to monitor competitors and optimize positioning.
Even fashion brands use scraping to monitor fast-moving trends, like which products influencers mention, or what's gaining traction in niche stores. Then there's media intelligence, scraping press release hubs, news portals, and regulatory sites to detect emerging signals, new appointments, acquisitions, patent filings. Every industry that relies on external signals, from finance to pharma, is turning to scraping to gain an informational edge.
So, what's next? What's the future of web scraping, and where is it headed?
Scraping is shifting from data collection to data interpretation. The future is hybrid, combining scraping with AI to derive insight, not just rows in a spreadsheet. Think about this, pulling reviews and analyzing sentiment in real time, or scraping startup job boards and using NLP to detect expansion patterns before fundraising announcements drop.
We're also seeing traceability emerge, scrapers that attach metadata and provenance to every record. This is critical for AI model training and regulatory use cases, and there's demand for more regulated scraping. Companies want to scrape, but they want to do it within clear rules, with auditing, logging, and vendor accountability. Eventually, we'll see API marketplaces and scraping orchestration platforms converge, where scraped and API-fed data live side by side and can be toggled or verified in real time. Scraping will go from gray hat tech to regulated infrastructure. Much like cloud computing or security tools, it'll become a core layer for digital intelligence.
So here's the takeaway. Scraping isn't going away, it's maturing, and it's moving from reactive to proactive, from fragmented scripts to scalable pipelines. The key is to do it right, legally, ethically, and intelligently. Because when done well, scraping doesn't just collect data. It amplifies understanding.
And if you need help building smart, respectful scraping solutions, Datamam is here. We turn public web data into strategic infrastructure. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already. More data deep dives coming soon.
Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.